Years after working on it, it was finally finished. Everyone thought it was far-fetched and that it's impossible, but I did it. I created a time machine. All those sleepless nights, all those days when I had to drink dozens of cups of coffee, even went as far as to contact some people who have been working on it to see what their ideas were. Everyone knew it in theory, but putting it to use was the real issue. First of all, no one knew whether time and space are intertwined or if those two were two separate things, which would be crucial information for building such a device. If it were intertwined, then maybe time travel would already be happening. We just didn't know it, since it would affect our whole universe whenever the person would use the machine. If it were not intertwined, then we would probably see some people from the distant future appearing in our own universe. However, both of these things happening seemed very unlikely at the time. First though, allow me to explain how I even got to the idea of creating a time machine. Throughout history, we have seen theories about time travel, which up to this point were just that, theories. We could assume that time was relative and therefore flows differently in every part of the universe. We could accelerate time travel by being close to black holes and other such space bodies, but it was impossible to actually reverse time. Most of the scientists tried to focus on actual space and black holes in order to come up with ideas to reverse time, but that's why they never succeeded. They were looking in the wrong place. Using everything I learned from every possible source I could come across, I was able to construct a machine that bends time and space to my will. It took a long time though, and this distorted the flow of time and events until I managed to learn how to manipulate the machine through trial and error into sending me where, or in this case, when I wanted. You wouldn't be aware of the changes in time and events, of course. You probably did the same things by now at least a few dozen times, but you can't know that since the only person who remains aware of the surroundings is the person inside the machine, in this case, me. So no, time travel doesn't send you to another dimension where you can see your doppelganger and see past or future events. It changes the entire universe to the time you set it to. You can imagine how many outcomes are possible if we tamper with the time machine. I have seen a dozen different outcomes of World War II, which resulted in a completely different world. At first it was difficult to adjust the correct years, but now I have calibrated the machine into setting days and even hours if necessary. Now you probably have loads of ideas of the possibilities with such a machine. Well, not me. I had only one thing in mind. I had to go back in time and be able to change things in order to have my ex-wife stay with me. She was the main reason why I started building this machine. Without her, I was nothing and I had to get her back to be happy again. Sounds pathetic, I know, but she was all I had. I didn't care about Nobel Prizes or the money I would be rewarded. I just wanted Claire back. She left me years ago for a guy she fell in love with, and I was determined to change that. The first thing I did when I was able to fully calibrate the machine was travel back to July 16th, 2005. Everything seemed pretty much the same except for a few old buildings here and there. With heart pumping fast, I raced to our old house to see what the situation was. Sure enough, Claire was inside, looking as beautiful as I remembered her. She was making lunch when I approached her, still too afraid to make any moves that might freak her out. "Claire," I called to her and she just about jumped, turning towards me. This is it, I thought. She is going to yell at me to get the hell out. "Baby, you scared the hell out of me." She smiled and continued cooking. I approached her slowly, probably smiling like an idiot. When she noticed me standing close to her, she glanced over and asked why I was staring at her. "Nothing," I continued grinning. "I just forget easily sometimes how beautiful you are. You're too sweet." She put her arms around me and kissed me. My whole body was burning. After years of being separated from her, I wanted to freeze this moment. I held her tightly for as long as I could, afraid this was a dream and that she would disappear. But she was still here after I let her go. Who knows, maybe this time things will go differently, I thought. I would be better this time, give her more attention, buy her things. I decided to stay in this era and live my life with Claire, but my happiness was short-lived since pretty soon she started becoming distant. Just like last time, the kisses and compliments we gave to each other every day turned into a one-way street which seemed to just bounce off her. It happened so gradually that I didn't even notice it at first. And then one day, I had to hear it again, the speech from her that broke me into a million pieces. "I'm sorry, Josh. My feelings have changed. I hate being this person, but I met someone else that I started liking. I know this is really hard for you, but you have to let me go. I don't love you anymore. You can keep the house since I'll be moving in with Aaron." Yeah, it's okay, I understand. I had competition, but this time I decided to ask her about the painful details, namely how she met him and what exactly happened between them. We just started chatting on Facebook. He started writing to me first. After hesitating, I got her to tell me the rest. The stuff that's been bothering me for years. Yes, we slept together, here, his place. Josh, I really don't think that. Yes, sex with him is better, I am sorry. That's okay, I knew everything I needed to know. I got back to my machine, heartbroken, but determined to reverse time again. I knew now how they started talking. All I would need to do is prevent them from meeting. Besides, this is a big city, how hard can it be? So I reversed the time to that fateful day when she was cooking and immediately went on her Facebook account and blocked Aaron. This way he had no way of contacting her, whether it was intentional by seeing her as a suggested friend or spontaneously. With that thought, I continued living my happy life with Claire. Was I hurt that there was a guy out there that I knew made my wife happier? Of course. But a part of me also wanted to believe that she was confused. We seemed to be happy for a while, a little longer than previous 2 times, but then it started happening again. She was growing distant. I would sense her building a wall between us, and from time to time, I would catch her smiling at her phone. I knew right away what it was, so this time I pushed her into telling me openly. Sure enough, it was Aaron again. She claimed this time they met at a yoga studio and things just happened from there. Okay, no problem. I will reverse the time again and just prevent her from going to that studio. It doesn't even matter that I have to drive her 1 hour to the next nearest yoga studio, because that's what good husbands do for wives that they love. So I followed the steps, blocked Aaron, and just told my wife that the yoga studio she preferred sucked. She should go to this other one. Satisfied with my well-done job, I gave myself a pat on the back and continued living with my beloved wife happily. Things went on smoothly, much longer this time. In my free time, I worked on a special time bracelet which would allow the wearer to be unaffected by the change of time and space should anyone ever use the machine besides me. I was content to be with Claire again and working on the things I loved. But then the same damn thing kept happening. The distance, the texting. It couldn't be Aaron, could it? Maybe it was someone else now. His name is Aaron, she said after I insisted on it. How, damn it? Where could you have possibly met him? I demanded. We just bumped into each other and waited for the bus on the same station. Started talking there and he just asked me to add him on Facebook. And you added him then? I was curious to know how she would answer this. There was no way she would be able to add him after being blocked. No, something was wrong with Facebook, so I just exchanged numbers with him. I know I shouldn't have done it, but I just somehow lost control, and it's like another person was acting on my behalf. You can imagine what I did next when I returned to the time machine. And to make the story short, this happened the next dozens of times. I would always try to eliminate Aaron from her life, but he would always somehow be there. Once I even went as far as to travel to a different state in order to avoid the guy completely, but there he was, still somehow attached to my wife. More and more I kept losing control, sometimes making her leave me sooner because of my attitude. I was getting older, while she kept getting younger. I couldn't keep going like this forever. Becoming more and more desperate, I came to one final solution. I would need to kill Aaron. Funny though, because this thought came to me as easily as buying groceries. Without a second thought, I looked him up on Facebook and sure enough, it had his address from when he checked in once. I took my baseball bat and gloves and put them in the trunk of my car. Very calmly, I drove to his place, put on the gloves and rang his doorbell, all the while holding the bat rested on my shoulder. Surprisingly, I felt nothing. A man of about the same age as me opened the door. He was even better looking in reality than on Facebook. At this point I was burning with rage, but I tried to contain it by smiling. I wanted to savor this moment. "Hi, you're Aaron, right?" I smiled widely, barely able to contain myself. Yeah, what can I do for you?" He seemed a little worried at this point. "I'm Joshua. I'm Claire's husband. I just wanted you to know my name before I kill you." He looked confused even when the bat connected with his temple. Blood instantly sprayed the door frame as he fell down, holding his bleeding head. "What?" He tried to say something but was interrupted by another hit, this time on his hand that held the head. He screamed and clutched his broken fingers, lying on the ground, looking up towards me. "What are you do?" Before he could finish his sentence, I gave another swing of the bat across his jaw, breaking his teeth and hopefully the jaw itself. At this point, he was only moaning, lying on his stomach, trying to lift his head. Satisfied with his torment, I stepped over his body and raised the bat above my head. As strong as I could, and with a loud scream, I brought the bat down on his skull, which resulted in a god-awful, but at that moment, to me satisfying, sound of cracking bones. I didn't stop to look at the mess below me that now stopped moving and making any sounds altogether. I kept hitting the remains of his skull over and over. The cracking sound turned into a wet sound of brains being squished, until that turned into the sound of dull thumps of the bat hitting the ground. Breathing heavily but satisfied like hell, I looked at my suit. It was covered in drops of blood. It took me a while to get rid of the mess. Luckily, he didn't live in an area with nosy neighbors that would come out to see what was going on and call the cops. I took care of the mess and returned to my beautiful Claire, happier than ever. Now we could finally live together without any obstacles. I didn't feel guilty about killing Aaron, not one bit. Hell, I didn't even give him a second thought after dumping his body in the furnace. I continued living with Claire without any worry. You might think it would be repetitive to live through your life always seeing the same shit over and over, but not me. I savored every moment I spent with Claire. Plus, I could avert bad situations like running into boring old classmates, waiting in long lines, and I even managed to get better promotions due to my job efficiency. Fuck the world and the things I could do with the time machine. I just wanted to live my life like this with her. When the time comes, I would give the machine to someone who would actually make better use for it. A year had passed since I killed Aaron, then 2. It was way past time for Claire to leave me in reality, but with Aaron out of the picture, she stayed. 1 more year, 2 more years. I was thinking about having children with her, and then it started to happen again. She would grow distant and nothing I said seemed to have any effect. It couldn't have been Aaron this time, so maybe someone else. Who this time? Damn it, she is mine. No one can get close to her, and if they do, I'll kill them too. I pushed and pushed, but she wouldn't cave and tell me the truth. She kept telling me that she just doesn't seem to love me anymore, that we just changed, but I knew that was not the case. I knew someone must have manipulated her into leaving me. Since she failed to reveal that information to me, I decided to fast forward time month by month until she updates her Facebook status. She sure loved posting things there, whether it was a life event or just eating a meal. Sure enough, 5 months after our divorce, her status on Facebook said, "In a relationship." With who though? The profile picture was still of her in the flower field, the picture I took while we were together. I entered her album to see if there are any pictures there. I didn't even need to scroll. The pictures of her boyfriend were right there, a face all too familiar. Aaron's face. My heart started pumping rapidly. How was this possible? I killed the son of a bitch. What is this trickery? I clicked on the pictures to see the dates, and sure enough, they were posted only 2 months ago. What could I have missed? Did I accidentally go back in time instead of forward? I experienced this kind of distortions in time and space and some kind of time paradox in the past, but only minor ones. Well, whatever it was, I'll just go back in time and kill him again. I just need to set the time back before they met. My bracelet was almost done. The wearer would not only be unaffected by the time and space change if he was located outside the machine, but it would also reset time if the wearer's pulse stopped. It looked like an average black bracelet, like one of those watches that measures your calories, which was good for masking its true purpose. It was perfect. Should anything ever happen to me, time would reset and I would be alive again, living my life with my Claire once again. Now I just need to get back and... 3 knocks on my apartment door. Must be the damned landlord. I told him I would pay the rent in a week. Why is he bothering me? 3 more knocks. Alright, I'm coming, I yelled, unlocking the door. Look man, I told you I would. My words were caught in my throat. In front of me was Aaron, in the flesh. He smiled widely and opposed to that, I must have looked pale like a ghost. Hi Josh, he said in a friendly tone. I quickly tried to shut the door, but he was faster. With one hand he stopped the door from closing and he used the other to hit me over the head faster than I anticipated. I staggered backwards, letting go of the door. I lost control and collapsed to the ground as I saw Aaron walk into my apartment and kneel down in front of me. He was holding something, but I couldn't see what. Some kind of tool he used to whack me over my head. A wrench maybe, it was hard to tell. Enough is enough, Josh. Aaron spoke in a matter-of-factly way. I vaguely remember feeling perplexed about his calm attitude. He continued, You've had her long enough. I loved her ever since I first saw her, and I had to go through the same mistakes over and over until she fell for me. You are not going to take away what's mine, Josh, but don't worry, I'll take good care of her. As my vision was becoming blurry, I could see only one thing before everything went dark. The same first thing I remembered when I woke up back in front of my PC. A simple black bracelet on Aaron's wrist.